Hi everybody, this is Miss Lisa from the Library Children's Room, and this is the third of 4 STEAM Challenges Fairy Tale Edition. And today's fairy tale is Goldilocks and the 3 Bears. And the version I've chosen is retold and illustrated by James Marshall, and the book is published by Dial Books for Young Readers. Once there was a little girl called Goldilocks. What a sweet child, said someone new in town. That's what you think, said the neighbor. One morning, Goldilocks' mother sent her to buy muffins in the next village. You must promise not to take the shortcut through the forest, she said. I've heard that bears live there. Oh, I promise, said Goldilocks. But to tell the truth, Goldilocks was one of those naughty little girls who does exactly what they please. Meanwhile, in a clearing deeper inside the forest, in a charming house all their own, a family of brown bears was sitting down to breakfast. Ooh, said the big old Papa Bear, this porridge is scalding. I've burned my tongue. I'm dying, said Baby Bear. Oh, really, said Mama Bear, who was of medium size. That's quite enough. I know, said Papa Bear. Why don't we go for a spin while the porridge is cooling? Excellent, said Mama Bear. And they got off on their rusty old bicycle and took off. A few minutes later, Goldilocks arrived at the bear's house. She walked right in without even bothering to knock. On the dining room table were 3 inviting bowls of porridge. Don't mind if I do, said Goldilocks, and she helped herself to the biggest bowl. But the porridge in the biggest bowl was much too hot. Ooh, said Goldilocks, and she spat it out. Then she tested the porridge in the medium-sized bowl, but that porridge was cold. And then she tasted the porridge in the littlest bowl, and it was just right. Not too hot, not too cold. In fact, she liked it so much that she gobbled it all up. Feeling full and satisfied, Goldilocks thought it would be great fun to have a look around, and right away she noticed a lot of coarse brown fur everywhere. They must have kittens, she said. In the parlor there were 3 chairs. Don't mind if I do, she said, and climbed into the biggest one. But the biggest chair was much too hard, and she just couldn't get comfortable. Then she sat in a medium chair, but that chair was too soft, and she thought she'd never get out of it. And then Goldilocks sat in the little chair, and that was just right. Not too hard, not too soft, and she liked it so much that she rocked and rocked until the chair fell completely to pieces. Now all that rocking left Goldilocks quite tired out. I could take a little snooze, she said, and so she went to look for a comfy place to nap. Upstairs were 3 beds. Don't mind if I do, said Goldilocks, and she got into the biggest one, but the head of the biggest one was much too high. Next she tried the medium-sized bed, but the head of that bed was way too low. And then Goldilocks tried the little bed, and it was just right, and soon she was nice and cozy and sound asleep, and she did not hear the bears come home. The 3 bears were mighty hungry, but when they went in for breakfast, they could scarcely believe their eyes. Someone's been in my porridge, said Papa Bear. Someone's been in my porridge, said Mama Bear. Someone's been in my porridge, said Baby Bear, and has eaten it all up. In the parlor, the 3 bears were in for another surprise. Someone's been sitting in my chair, said Papa Bear. Someone's been sitting in my chair, said Mama Bear. Someone's been sitting in my chair, said the Baby Bear, and broken it to smithereens. And the 3 bears went upstairs on tiptoe, not knowing what they would discover. At first, everything seemed fine. But when Papa Bear lay down on his big brass bed, he said, someone's been lying in my bed, and he was not amused. Egads, cried Mama Bear, someone's been lying in my bed. Look, cried Baby Bear, someone's been lying in my bed, and she's still there. Now see here, roared Papa Bear, and Goldilocks woke up with a start, and her eyes nearly popped out of her head. But before the bears could demand a proper explanation, Goldilocks was out of bed, out the window, and on her way home. Who was that little girl? Asked Baby Bear. I have no idea, said Mama Bear, but I hope we never see her again. And they never did. And that is the classic folk tale as James Marshall tells it. However, there is another author-illustrator who also decided to have a go at this story, and his version came out somewhat different, I think, without quite the same humorous touches that James Marshall does. Paul Galdone titled his version The Three Bears. He wrote and illustrated it, and it is published by Clarion Books. Once upon a time, there were three bears who lived together in a house of their own in the woods. One was a little wee tiny bear, one was a middle-sized bear, and the other was a great big bear. They each had a bowl for their porridge. The wee little bear had a wee little bowl, and the middle-sized bear had a middle-sized bowl, and the great big bear had a great big bowl. They each had a chair to sit in, and the wee little bear had a wee little chair. And the middle-sized bear had a middle-sized chair, and the great big bear had a great big chair. And they each had a bed to sleep in. The wee little bear had a wee little bed, and the middle-sized bear had a middle-sized bed, and the great big bear had a great big bed. One morning, the three bears made porridge for breakfast and poured it into their bowls, but it was too hot to eat, so they decided to go for a walk in the woods until it cooled. And while the three bears were walking, a little girl named Goldilocks came to their house. First she looked in the window, then she peeked through the keyhole. There was no one inside, so she turned the handle of the door. The door was not locked because the three bears were very trusting. They had never harmed anyone and didn't expect anyone to harm them. So Goldilocks opened the door and went in. There was the porridge on the table, and it looked very good. So Goldilocks didn't stop to think whose porridge it was. She went straight to it. First, she tasted the porridge of the great big bear, but it was too hot. Then she tasted the porridge of the middle-sized bear, too cold. And then she tasted the porridge of the wee little bear. It was neither too hot nor too cold, but just right. And Goldilocks liked it so much, she ate it all up. And then Goldilocks went into the parlor to see what she could find. There were the three chairs, and she sat down in the chair for the great big bear, but it was too hard. And she sat down in the chair for the middle-sized bear, but it was too soft. And then she sat down in the chair for the wee little bear, and it was neither too hard nor too soft, but just right. And she rocked, and she rocked, and she rocked, and the bottom of the chair fell out, and down she went onto the floor. So then Goldilocks went into the bedroom where the three bears slept. First she lay down on the big bed of the great big bear, but it was too high at the head. Then she lay down on the bed of the middle-sized bear, but it was too high at the foot. And then she lay down on the bed of the wee little bear. It was neither too high at the head or too high at the foot, but just right. And she liked it so much that she covered herself up and fell fast asleep. By this time, the three bears thought their porridge would be cool enough, so they came home for breakfast. And Goldilocks had left the spoon of the great big bear in his porridge bowl, and he said, "Someone's been eating my porridge," in his big voice. And she had left the spoon in the middle-sized bear, and she said, "Someone's been tasting my porridge," in her middle-sized voice. And then the wee little bear looked at his bowl. "Someone's been tasting my porridge," and they ate it all up. The three bears went into the parlor, and Goldilocks had left the cushion crooked on the chair, and the great big bear noticed it. "Someone's been sitting in my chair," he said. And she had squashed down the cushion of the middle-sized bear. "Someone's been sitting in my chair," she said. And the wee little bear looked at his chair. "Someone's been sitting in my chair and has sat right through it, and it's all smashed to pieces." So the three bears went into the bedroom. Goldilocks had pulled the pillow of the great big bear out of place, and he noticed it. "Someone's been in my bed." Goldilocks had pulled the blanket of the middle-sized bear out of place. "Someone's been in my bed," said the middle-sized bear. And then the wee little bear looked at his bed. "Someone's been lying in my bed, and there she is." This woke Goldilocks up at once, and there were the three bears all staring at her. Goldilocks was so frightened that she tumbled out of bed, ran to the open window, and out she jumped. And she ran away as fast as she could, never looking behind her. No one knows what happened to her after that. The three bears never saw her again. Okay, so that's two versions of the three bears. You notice that Goldilocks, not really meaning to, has broken both the furniture in her house, and that is too bad. So your STEAM challenge is to replace the bed by constructing a new one, and replace the chair by making a new chair. These kits are available in the children's room. To get one, you go to the library's program calendar for today's date and register for the program. And once you've done that, a staff member will call you about picking your kit up. The basic piece is a tube. If you cut little pieces off like that, you can make supports for your bed. And then there's a piece of heavyweight paper that you can make the flat part of the bed. And you can also cut one end of the tube off, and it's possible to fold it and cut it in a way that makes a little chair. I also included this, which is a bag full of little beads and jewels and feathers, which you can decorate the beds with. And everybody is getting a piece of bright colored cloth, which can become your bed cover or cushions for the chairs. So I hope you will all have lots of fun with that. Again, just register for the program on our program calendar on the webpage, and we will make sure that you get a kit. This was the third of 4 STEAM challenges. The fourth one will be August 20th, I think, and that will be Jack and the Beanstalk. So be sure to look for that. In the meantime, thank you for joining me today. I hope you all had a good time, and everybody have a wonderful day. Bye.